Okay, Erev Tov, we're on the 8th day of Mar Cheshvan, and we're continuing the Rambam in the Moznayim text. We are on, I just had it, page, where did I just had it? Oh, right at the end of Ayin Aleph. Right at the end of Ayin Aleph. V'chein hu, ve'amru, really Ayin base. Yeah. So we got finished talking about this whole thing of the drushes are coded, etc. It's deep stuff. We can't just throw it out there. People aren't going to be able to understand it. They're going to think it's crazy. So we just give it like in a riddle and this and that. So now what the Rambam is going to do is going to be a lengthy exposition within an exposition.
Whoa.
Okay, is he's going to give us an example of one of these statements. And he's going to show us how the untrained eye will not understand this statement. And he goes through a lengthy discussion of all kinds of philosophical issues. And my guesstimation is it's going to take today and Sunday and maybe part of Monday to finish just this area to discuss this opinion of the Agada to Gemaras. So we've got to be patient. We're not going to get to the ending of the story tonight, but it's fascinating, very important philosophical, fundamental ideas, which are just so powerful. And here's a good example of such a Gemara. First parak in Brachas. Gemara says, Ein la'kadosh baruch hu ba'olamo ela arba amos del halacha bilvat. Hashem, now that the Beis Hamikdash is destroyed, all Hashem has is the 4 cubits of the law. That's it.
Not a lot of space.
Okay, so now when you hear such a line, what in the world does that mean? V'hashev libcha lozeh. Put your heart to this thing. Lozeh davar. If you look at this according to the simple meaning, it seems to be very far away from the truth. Why? Because it would appear if you're reading the text, straight up. It seems that the 4 cubits of law alone are the focus that Hashem wants. And all the other wisdom and traits are thrown behind the back. In other words, all Hashem wants is halacha. That's it. He's only interested in halacha. As far as halacha goes, that's all he has to do. He's not interested in anything else. Anything is not important. Now let's think about this. First of all, Ubisman Shem Ve'aver. Let's go back to the times of Shem Ve'aver. And after that,
there was no halacha.
There's no halacha. You want to say that Hashem has no share in the world at all? In other words, what's this statement saying? That now the only thing of this world that interests Hashem is the 4 amos of halacha. So what about before there was Torah? Hashem wasn't interested in all of the world. That make any sense? This is one of these lines, like what in the world does it mean? So, be happy, just say it over and don't try to understand it. But there's tremendous depth, but this needs introduction upon introduction upon introduction.
Rabbi, we've always wondered what Torah they learned in the yeshiva of Shem and Aver. Like, what did Yaakov learn?
Yes, that's also important thing.
He was there 14 years, didn't sleep a wink.
Okay.
At least not on a bed.
Yes. And it was tuition.
Okay. Yeah. So he says, but if you look in this matter intellectually, wondrous. You see a wondrous wisdom. Musaf klal. You're going to find a principle. We're going to add a great principle of all the disciplines. I'm going to explain it to you. Why? This should be an example for any other statement that comes into your hands. Place your heart to this as accordingly. In other words, I can't go through the entire Talmud and go through every Agadah.
Wow, that would be take a much bigger.
But I'm
picture.
going to do one. And the reason he does this one is because it is so fundamental. And this is the segue into section 17. And in our Rambam, it's section Ches.
Yeah.
Okay. So this is the new topic. And we're almost going to forget about this Gemara. But sometime around end of Monday's class, he's going to come back, maybe Tuesday. He's going to go back. And that's what the Gemara meant when it says Hashem Eliyas Arba Amushalach. So just keep remembering, that's what we're trying to figure out. But you're going to get lost on the trip. Da, you should know. The ancients investigated, pondered a great philosophical question. And they gave it a lot of proper thought. Until they really got the idea of it. He says like this. I'm sorry, I didn't read it right. There's no dots. You got the dots. I don't have it. Okay, anyway, he says, Shekol Dover Nimtza. Anything you find in the world, Yitztarech al Koponim Liaslo Tachlis. It has to have a purpose. Asher Bishvilo Haisam Itzios. And for that reason it exists. Kilole Daver Reik Nimtza Nimtzaim. Because things in this world are not there for nothing. So he is saying that, something that all the philosophers agree to this. Now, this is in the times of the Rambam. I'm sorry to say, I don't think all philosophers,
I agree with it today.
especially false scientists, agree with this. Because what they're saying is anything in this world, everything in this world has that purpose. It's not something without a purpose. Now, you now have atheist scientists who says there's many, what do you call these things? Appendages or to the body that they say are not necessary.
Yeah.
You don't need it.
They're useless.
Right? They said what do you call it? The tonsils.
Yeah.
Not necessary. Let's get them out.
The appendix.
The appendix.
Get the appendix out. All it can do is kill you. Wisdom teeth. Get them out. Right? So they say, so this was
How clever was that?
900 years ago. 900 years ago. At least they had a little more brains 900 years ago. Even the secular philosophers, they understood that everything's got to have a purpose. Everything's got to have a purpose. So now, once you start with that, once they accepted that rule, so now they start dividing up everything you find in the world. But das tachlis to find what the purpose of everything that is in this world. Now, one area is very easy.
Didn't the Greeks do that with the Greek philosophy and the science that with Hanukkah? That's what they did.
With Hanukkah.
Well, that's the whole story of Hanukkah and what we were fighting against.
Okay.
Because they took Hashem out of the whole equation.
Okay, fine. Yeah.
That's science.
But they still felt there was a purpose to everything.
Everything had a purpose.
So Vero, and they came up with the conclusion. And this is the easy part. He called him Sashu Malachusi. Anything that you find that is as a result of malacha, crafted. It was made for a craft. So its goal is known. He's going to give me an example. You don't need to investigate this.
Yeah.
The craftsman, he doesn't work unless there's a purpose in his mind, that's a sketch in his mind. A house. Does a house come for no reason?
Absolutely not.
The builder knows exactly why he's building a house. For people to live in it. So we know what it's there for. Now he gives more basic examples. Vamosha was an example of this. Omer, Shameshor, the blacksmith, Hameshor, rather the saw, La Saw Napach, the blacksmith only made the saw until he tried to figure out how he could separate the wood's bonds. Until his heart revealed Suras Hameshor, the form of a saw. He makes a saw to cut the wood. So now we understand. Ki kavanas hameshor. What's the purpose of the saw? Lahanifo ala eitz is to raise it to the wood, meaning to cut it. The kavanas hakardom, and the intention of the axe is lachpo, to chop with it. The kavanas hamechet, what's the intention of a needle? Lahachvir bo begel, connect one garment to another. And everything in this world, has some kind of purpose of work. So anything that is a crafted thing, we understand what it's there for. Anything that human beings make, plain and partial, we know it has a purpose. There's no question about it. That's easy. Where does it get trickier? What about things that are crafted by God? Or let's say natural wisdom. Kigon, for example, different types of trees and grasses, Hakdama, and different types of quarries out of the ground, and different types of stones, different types of animals, vegetables, minerals. So Yeshvam, there's some of them,
It's hidden.
their goal doesn't appear to have, we don't know what it is. We don't know. Elam came unless two ways you could know. Either Torah ben Nevuah, unless a prophet could tell you, or you could tell the future, or better yet, or the present shows us what the past was. But with rational investigation, you can't know. You can't know what things are here for. For example, because a person can't investigate. It's not within your ability to know, for example, why do some ants have wings and some ants don't have wings? How come you have certain insects who have a lot of legs? Some with little bit of legs. And what's the purpose of this worm, or the purpose of this ant, whatever? We don't know what the purpose is. Let's say big things. There are larger things, and their actions are more revealed. Yoser Goli. So the men of great wisdom, they come up with the purpose. According to one being wiser and wiser and want to really understand this, he comes up with certain ideas. So, for example, when Hashem gave Shlomo the wisdom that he wanted to in the third chapter of Sefer Malachim, for those that are learning Nach Yomi, we just did it last week, and he promised him wisdom. Yada Misoda Sabriya, he knew the secrets of creation, Eilaminim, of all these types, for what a person to know, but only as much as he's a person.
Okay. Why did he merit that compared to so many other great people throughout Jewish history?
He needed it. He was the first real king of a unified nation, and he needed this. He said to Hashem, Hashem said, what would you like? I'll give you anything. He said, I need wisdom. I need to know how to lead the people. I have to be the right leader for them. So Hashem says, I'm going to give you wisdom and everything else you didn't ask for.
Didn't he answer, I just want to be close to you? And he said, I'll give you close to you and wisdom too.
No, he said he wanted the wisdom.
Okay.
I need the wisdom to be able to be the leader of Hashem's nation.
Didn't David Hamelch need the same type of wisdom?
He didn't have the beta.
Well, he wasn't in that position yet. We're talking about a person who now is heir to an empire. David, created the empire.
He was an empire builder.
He was an empire builder.
Yeah.
But what do you do with the empire now? That's the point. V'diber al tachlis yitzir, and then after Hashem grants him the wisdom, he talks about the purpose of the trees, some of them in the grasses, umine hachayim, and different types of life. And the pasuk says in Malachim, Parakeh, v'yidaber al ha'etzim, he talk about the trees. Mina Erez, Asher Bavanon, the great cedar trees in the Lebanon, Vado Izov, and the hyssop, Asher Yossi Bekir,
bush.
that grows on the walls. Vayidaber al Behemes, talk about animals, Alof and birds, Al Remes and the creeping things, Al Dogim and the fish. Okay, end of the pasuk. Vayis al La'ed, and this is a testimony. Sha'is Baruach Elokis, he had divine spirit. V'Acher came. And he said afterwards, and everybody came from all around the world to see Chachma's wisdom.
Yeah.
That's
Ooh.
one of the story of the Queen of Sheba.
And there's a hotel now in
To know his wisdom.
In Israel.
That's right.
And there's a
It's
medrash
a lot.
where she gave him like 25 riddles. She gave him 25 riddles, and he knew all the answers to the riddles.
She was called the Riddler. She was
Yes.
the first Riddler.
Ach, al derech klal, but in general, yesh todas, you need to know. Shekol nitzayim shetachas galgal yarech nimsu b'shvil adam lad. Gotta know that really everything that's under the sphere of the moon comes into existence only for man. Now, under the moon, above the moon is not for man.
That's right.
Things are beyond, we don't need to know. Now, for example, v'chol minei achayos. So some are easy. Some types of animals, yeshem l'machalo kitzonu bakar. Some animals, you know what they're here for? For us to eat them. Sheep, cattle. Pretty easy to know what they're here for.
Sure.
Go tell that to
Well,
Peter.
but not before Noah, right?
Fine, not before Noah. We don't have to worry about that.
They're
Okay.
all gone.
V'yesh
People become
mehem
are all
l'toelas besulas hamachalim. And there's other things that are for other besides eating. Come on, chamor, the donkey. So not even the animals we couldn't eat, they could do other work.
Transport.
Let's say so. They said, I think that Joe Biden is going to hire about 1 million mules.
Really?
I think that's the plan to save the country.
Wow.
1 million mules.
That could be, I've heard the
Who's
Million Man
the
March.
donkey? Is the donkey the Democrat and the elephant's the
You
Republican?
have to ask Mark. Mark.
Yeah,
knows.
that's right. I can't believe an American is asking me.
It's
that
not
question.
it's not my country.
And I think the Republic, no, they call them rhinos, right? Those are,
Rhinos are the ones who are Republican in name.
yeah, anyway, I don't know which one's a donkey. Anyway, so the donkeys carry things, things that you can't carry in your hand. Vasusim, and we have horses like Yibahem Mahalach Derech Recholim, to go very fast in a few days. Meaning Shalom Nadalam tells, and there's certain things we don't know the benefit. The Yeshua tells the Adam some, and they may have a use for man, and we just don't recognize them. Some trees and plants, some are for food, some are to healing, from sicknesses, some different grasses, and other species. Now, everything you find from the animals, the plants, don't have any benefit as nourishment. And there's nothing that will work according to our thinking. So why I don't know what this is for. That's because we're not smart enough.
Whoa.
Okay. It's not possible for any fruit, any type of animal, from the elephant to the ants, to the worms, to the bugs. So Yibam to us that there isn't some benefit for man. And what the big proof is, over there in every subsequent generation, we discover certain types of grasses, paris and fruit, so that we didn't know beforehand, and they have great benefits to us.
Wow.
You know, I don't know when
Even today.
scientists found out certain foods are good for you.
Not only that, but they're anti-cancer. Certain foods have
Yes.
anti-cancer agents.
And many medicines.
Cranberry,
And
has
many
has for
medicines
your
are
tract
just taking
infections.
certain plants, mixing them
Sure,
together.
the
whatever.
Joxin for the heart is
So
from
they're
foxglove.
finding things in every even in the Rambam's time. So they had advanced science already.
Wow, who had the book of cures?
Yeah, well, that's something else.
That
Yeah.
was a whole bunch.
But
of
you
natural
see,
stuff.
eventually it's going to come. Okay. So but it's not possible for a person to know all the benefits of every plant in the world. But it becomes revealed over the generations by experimentation. You try this, you try that. That's how we find cures for diseases. We keep trying. Okay, so what are we so far understanding? That any right-minded person knows everything has a benefit. Has some benefit. We may not know the
We
benefit,
don't know the benefit, but
but
it has
plenty
some.
things have benefits, right?
Why can't we just sort of know this is the system of that Hashem put into nature, and that nature feeds off nature? Like, so that's basically all we
Well,
really need to know, because
Well, but you have to know what does it benefit. Now, what do you call that when the food chain, right? The big
food
animals
chain,
eat the
yeah.
small animals.
Yeah.
They call it the food chain.
Yeah.
Without a better word, I don't know what it is.
Well, it's a symbiotic,
Whatever, the
yeah.
ecosystem, whatever.
ecosystem.
Yeah.
You know, the little guppy gets eaten by the bigger fish, and the bigger fish gets eaten by the bigger fish. Everything is part of the food chain.
Yeah, it's the ecosystem.
And then what we need the big chain. So when the whale eats everything up, well,
Well, the whale is actually a vegetarian. He just eats the
Whatever.
plankton.
he's
but-
a mammal.
but we catch the whale, and guess what?
He's a
We
big-
have
it's a big
blubber,
cat. Bluebird. We got a lot of
blubber,
bluebird.
we have what do you call it?
Whale
Leather,
skin, yeah,
leather,
skin,
whale
whale
skin. You
Sure.
got oil, you got tons of stuff,
Yeah.
right? And takes all these
The
little
Eskimos,
things
that's the thing,
below.
for the whole winter, they're good, the whole
Right.
Eskimo.
This
place.
the little stuff all builds into that.
Yeah.
So the little planktons, which is at the bottom of the sea, serves man who's able to catch the whale.
Sure.
So that-
Even the blades of grass for the
So
cattle.
we begin to understand a lot of these things. You know, why do we need cats? Why do you need cats on a farm? You know why?
To get rid of the mice.
Get rid of the mice
Sure.
and different kinds of bugs
So
and
why do we
this.
need dangerous predators like lions and tigers?
Okay, well, let's get to those guys soon. But he's starting with something else. Avalim time, we're gonna ask Madu and Ibra Samem Isim. What about poison? Going Asav Anigra Bayish. There's a grass called Bayish, face of dam and blood grass. Asher Yamas Bottom, person easily dies. Rainbow Dallas. There's no benefit. Why do you gotta create poisonous plants?
Poison ivy.
Raya Choladas, you need to know. Sheish Bahem Toelis.
There's a
There
purpose.
is a benefit. Why? She tamis ba'esh yochlo. So you might die if you eat it. But lo tamis ba'esh shiach v'shal gabi aguf. But it will help you if you use it as a salve on the surface of your body.
What's a salve?
A
Compress.
compress as a medicine on top of your body. Ukishitake, for example. There's a great use of man in the viper and in the snakes.
Yes.
All the more so, we expect usefulness of that which are less damaging than them. Right? You know, a lot of these things become the vaccines for other things. So we got purposes. Now he doesn't mention
So when you look
this.
at this bottom, he says Yud Aleph, Kamram Shabbos, Nachash, Refuah, Lechofefes, Mina Shchin.
Yep. Okay. Good. So therefore, and now also he doesn't mention it, but they're great punishing agents.
Oh, yeah.
That's a purpose. Person deserves a punishment. God finds a way to punish them.
Oh, yeah.
Okay. So now, when we get around to the point and we see the goal of all these things, autumn is for the existence of man. Right? Isn't it at the end of the day, it's all for man? So now we got to investigate, why does man exist? So what was the intent of creating man? Okay, so you see where he's going here. He's telling us, okay, the philosophers understand that everything in this world has a purpose. And if it's a purpose, it means it has to have a purpose somehow relating to man. Because at the end of the day, man is at the top of the food chain. So somehow everything in this world, and really it's man who bespeaks the purpose for everything that exists. Because the animals themselves don't know what the purpose of themselves is.
So it sounds like from this, that there should be no moral uncomfortableness of being of eating meat. like that you know, this
Moral uncomfortable.
Yeah, like in other
Why?
words, because there's this movement towards vegan, vegetarianism,
Why?
everything like that, even from Jews, rabbis.
Okay, let me ask you a
Not
question.
very
When the-
many.
When the Beta Mikdash comes back, are they gonna be serving vegetables and fruit on the Mizbeach? Tofu?
I'm just saying to you, the word
The
is
animal
Irish.
has to have a purpose, yeah?
Yes.
So what's its purpose?
To serve man, I understand that, yeah.
So what's the problem? I'm not
So
I'm not
I-
understanding what you're saying. So what are you saying?
So that it's the argument against vegetarians.
Against vegetarian?
Yeah,
Yes, of course.
Yes.
Of course, an argument against. What are you gonna keep them around for what? To look at them? To have them roam around in India and eat all your food? No, so therefore, so they start spending time investigating this man. But son of Adam, we find, what about man? Pa'olim Rabbi mode, he has many activities. Because look at this in man and animals. They call me all types of animals, living beings, fellows or trees. They only have one action, or maybe obeys one, two actions. For example, what do you see a palm tree do?
Give shade and dates.
So he says, they give you dates.
Dates.
Charlotte's other trees. Okay, we could add in shade. What about animals? We find some. They're like the spider, he weaves. That's the spider's job. Umi yivne kamo hashamimis. And one that builds like an animal called the shamimis. What's that? Tzipor drawer. It's a small wild bird. Hamakanenis babotim bismanachom, who nests homes during the hot season. Okay, and also umi sheyitrov karye, or one that devours like a lion. So they got basically they're very limited functions. Aval ha'odam, but man yasem masim rabim. Man does a lot of functions. Mishtanim, zebazeh. V'chakru al kol pulasov, and they investigated all his activities. Paula das tachlis priyosov, to know the purpose of his creation. Me'ela hapolim, from all these activities.
Matsu.
In which he does a lot of things. So what is all his things for? Umatsu, they found out ki tachliso Paul echad bolvat, and they found that his purpose is one activity alone, basic one. Ubishvilon ivran, for that he was created. Fishar Paulov, and all the rest of his activities, him l'kaima midoso kadesh shalbo, to keep him around to support that activity. Whereas the great thinkers, they understood man has really one purpose, but all the other things that he can do are there to facilitate that one purpose. And guess what? We're going to leave that purpose for Sunday.
Whoa.
Okay, it's a good place. Number 19, new number, new place. Okay, we're in the middle of this great journey to figure out what
It's interesting.
is the purpose of man. Okay, Yossi, everybody, have an amazing night.
Let's just presume I have a purpose till we complete.
Yes. Okay, Zygus.